One. David HINOJOSA, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Glenn.
And I pronounced that right, HINOJOSA.
Yes.
Yeah. I think like I was telling you before, I think I had a drill sergeant named HINOJOSA, and but
you don't forget those.
You don't forget that drill sergeant. So, but David, you are so you can clarify veteran voiceover. Is that your company?
Yes, Veteran VO.
Awesome. So David, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, what you've been up to lately, and we'll kick it off from there.
Sure. I've started a company called Veteran VO. I do voiceovers for commercials, narrations, whatever the customer or client needs. I'm a 20-year Air Force retiree. I spent 20 years. I was Air Force Security Forces, which essentially for those outside the military, that's basically an MP, and kind of milled around a little bit after I got out. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and I do have a day job. I do IT. I'm a government contractor, so I do this as my side hustle. Hopefully in the future, I want to basically leave that field and just do this full time.
Yeah. If you ask the millennial entrepreneurs out there, it'll be a supplemental income. They're calling it now. But yeah, I guess us coming from our generation, I guess, would be a side hustle.
Yeah,
is what we called it. Back in like the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and
right.
But yeah, that's awesome. 20 years security forces.
Yes.
Were you ever civilian cop as well?
No. When I was done, I was kind of done. I was just like, I just don't feel like, pursuing that past 20 years. I was already kind of broken already. And another 12 weeks of training was not going to end well for me.
Yeah. No, we were talking offline, and I enlisted, and I've been doing film and TV freelance, 10 or 12 or almost 15 years now. But we were talking, and I enlisted at 31, went through basic training. I went to MP school at Leonard Wood. I think added up, it was just about 6 months away from home. And so I get to my unit, and it's an MP unit. And so I chose MP because I want to do something different. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I picked, videography. It's called public affairs in the Army and in the Guard. Hindsight being 2020, it's always perfect hindsight vision. But now I'm in an MP unit, and a lot of guys are like, hey, you want to come over to DC police? You want to come over to PG police? You want to come over to this smaller little department? We run security over at the Pentagon or something like that. And I said, do I have to go to an academy? And they said, oh yeah, you still got to do like another 10 weeks. And I'm like, nah, man, I already went to basic. I already went to MP school. If you can somehow accept all of that as a cert, and almost zero departments do that. You always got to go to their academy. And so like, I never got in, like you said, I never got into any civilian department as a side hustle, except for, there was like, around here, we have special police officers, which are basically armed security guards, and DC's very finicky about that. And so there is a special program you have to go through, but it's only like 2 weeks of death by PowerPoint, weapons qualification, a couple of other things. And so I did do that for a little bit, and I was a security guard, and in every week and in every free minute I was like, you took a look at some of the content that me and my colleagues have and on our channels and on our sites. And that's what I was doing in every free minute. And then I forget what happened. Like, I think my site lost the the company I was contracting with lost the contract. And then I was just like, you know what? I called my buddies. I said, listen, I'm doing this thing full-time freelance. And they said, let's go. And we kind of just jumped into it head first. And
right.
and still, still got drills on the weekend, National Guard. But yeah. So David, back to VO. I mean, what have you been doing? How have you been impacted? Let's start professionally by the current state of affairs. Have you been working remotely and that sort of thing?
Oh, I mean, that's the great thing about voiceovers right now. If you do your research, if you've done research, which I have, when you look back 10 years, there was probably not that many voiceover talent, but many voiceover talents that were actually working from home. They were actually going into a studio and recording, and probably now within the last few years, especially now with the pandemic going on, home studios is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because there are so many opportunities out there, because now with everything being so technologically, I won't say what's the word, with technology, all you need is a laptop, a good treated space where you have a pretty quiet space, a quality microphone, and good editing software. And you can do everything you want from the sanctuary of your own home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, mine is in a closet. I have it treated and it's good. And I recorded my, my professional demo, from my closet, and I had to go to a studio. There was just someone on the other end just giving me direction, on how they wanted certain pieces of my demo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, and when I graduated from Towson in Maryland back in 2004, and right out the gate, it was like all the Towson graduates got a job at Discovery Channel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and it was just like, hey, come on over, we'll get you a starter position, entry level position, and I did that, moved up a little bit, and it was, while I was there, I started seeing the rise of Craigslist and finding gigs on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
And the rise, but before that, man, it was like classifieds in the classifieds, and
Yep.
you'd have to find TV, video, audio, video, or film and TV, or cinematography, or whatever the case may be in the classifieds. But I feel like I kind of lucked out in such a way where I was right in the door of Discovery Channel with a bunch of Towson fellow alumni that we could all speak for each other and vouch for each other. And then there was the rise of Backstage and Staff Me Up and Production Hub and all these gig sites and all these crew up sites, and I started building a profile on there because like we talked offline, every waking minute was passion projects or indie projects on the side. And then I broke into acting maybe about 5 years ago. After my first deployment, I came back and a bunch of my colleagues decided to start acting. So of course I was like, all right, military is basically acting school for, cop roles. I mean, MP, cop, military police is basically acting school for cops and military roles. And so I was always playing Detective this, but even 5 years ago, half of my gigs were self-submits, submit video auditions, send you a script, or Skype in, or now it's Zoom, but back then it was Skype in, Google Hangout,
Mm-hmm.
tap into Google Hangouts, or just record it and upload it to Google Drive or upload it to Dropbox or whatever the case. And it just progressed. And I feel like I'm blessed, if not blessed, I'm just lucky, maybe more luck and more skill on your end, but more luck on my end, where I just kind of stayed along with the technological trends. And
Right.
And even now I'm doing a lot of teleworking crew gigs, doing live streaming of this thing, that thing, teleworking. Because before I would go to these conferences with a camera and a laptop and live stream these conferences. And now it's just all they're not going to the convention center or the hotel or the
Yeah.
big arena. It's just all on Zoom. And then with that, I was able to turn around, do a podcast, and do, a lot of independent other live streaming for, musicians and DJs or whatever the case. But yeah, I mean, I think, whether it's just skill or whether you were determined to stay ahead of the times,
Mhm.
or at least, if not at least just on track with the times. I mean, I did my best to say, like, hey, this is that new thing that people are doing now. Now you got DJs, doing shows in Fortnite, in the video game Fortnite.
That's crazy.
But like you said, yeah, I mean, it's all, and you're blessed that you're able to just stay productive, stay employed, if not self-employed, during these times, man. And it was like, I'm not going to be one of those guys like, oh, I knew a pandemic was coming. But I was always one of those guys that wanted to work from home. I know there's an ability for me to act or to do voiceover work, because I've done a little bit of voiceover work, not as much as probably, I'm sure nowhere near as much as you, but a little bit of voiceover work, some other stuff at home against a green screen that I was able to submit, and they were able to implement into what they wanted during these COVID times, because I was dead set on building a green screen studio, building a podcast studio, building a home editing studio, so that I could have that ability to work from home. Because I knew I knew me and the girlfriend at the time were going to get engaged and married and have kids. And as that progressed, I wanted to lock that in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's a crazy time right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's just great to hear that, you stuck. Well, not only did you stick with it, but you have the IT skills as well to help you, stay ahead of the trends, I guess.
Yes. it's definitely a plus with all that's going on with this, because I don't really have to source out or try and find a great mug, by the way. And
hey, listen, so this gets brought up a couple of times. I'm not a Dallas fan. The wife is a Dallas fan. This is just the biggest mug we have in the house, so I can fill it all the way up, and it's not constantly running to the coffee machine.
There's no better mug than to drink out of than that one. I'll tell you that right now, my friend.
So I take it you're a Dallas fan?
Oh yeah, huge Dallas fan.
Oh my God, where do you?
God, I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so even though like I said, I live in New Mexico, but I grew up there, so always diehard Cowboys fan, diehard Mavericks fan, diehard Texas Rangers fan. So and that you're a true fan, because no one really says I'm a Rangers fan unless you are a Rangers fan.
Right. No, and I should have figured. I mean, I knew you were based out of New Mexico. I should have figured you're probably going to be a Dallas fan, if not.
Yeah.
What is it? A Texans now or something, or Oilers or something?
That's in Houston. That's the Texans.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I don't even pay attention to sports. I mean, my team right now, I guess we're called Washington Football Team.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
What a name. Okay, let's come up with a new name. I got a great idea for a new name. We're going to change it from the Redskins. I got a great idea. Washington Football Team. How passive aggressive is that?
I wouldn't even call it passive. I wouldn't even call it aggressive. I mean, it's not a name that strikes.
You're freezing up a little bit. What were you saying? It's a name that what?
It's not a name that strikes fear into your opponent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Well, how would you say you've been impacted personally by these current state of affairs?
To be honest, I wouldn't say it's really affected me as far as personally. Like you said, you've been deployed. I've been deployed a few times. So when I was deployed, it basically said, okay, don't go past this area, don't go past the wire,
Mm-hmm.
and when I deployed, um, when I was getting deployed, we weren't doing really any mission, anything outside the wire. So we were pretty much right there in the base, and they were like, okay, don't go anywhere, don't do anything. You can go to the chow hall, you can go to the, the exchange. If we were lucky to have a pool, you can go to the pool or go shoot hoops or whatever. So, being kind of, I mean, it's been lifted up a little bit, lifted a little bit and brought down a little bit here. But, during like the height of it, we were pretty much, because everything was closed, so couldn't do anything. So it didn't really affect me that much because it's just, it was something that was already kind of that I've done in the past, where, like I said before, don't go. You don't go past that area. So you don't leave the base. You stay here. Go room. You can stay in your room, or you can go into the day room, watch TV, or all the other, just other things I just previously mentioned.
Yeah.
So, I can't really, I know there's a lot more people out there, and, who are suffering a lot more than I am, and I feel for them because it's just something they're not used to. We're not used to it as a human race, So, we're a very social type of, we're social. We like to be around people. We like to gather. We like to talk to each other. We like to hug and shake hands. And, so, and not shaking hands is a really kind of a big deal for me, because I'm a firm believer in the, in the handshake.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I mean, I agree. That was a big thing for me. Like, I was a big handshaker, and now it's just, like, either it's a dap or it's like that little, or it's not even that. It's like that bumping forearms or bumping elbows now to even more eliminate more direct contact. And I mean, that's still cool, but yeah, I was totally like a big handshaker, very, like big on that, and you always got that guy that wants to like crush your hand.
You're freezing up there a little bit.
Oh, am I freezing now? Okay. How about now? Is that better? Hello?
Look, you're still kind of, oh, there we go. I think yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, but you always got that guy that wants to, like, crush your hand and destroy your hand when he's shaking it. And so I'm kind of glad that now we're just like, and then there's that guy that wants to like bash your hand in or something. But
as always, like,
yeah, but I agree, man. Like, on my deployment, my one deployment taught me how to, like, be one with yourself and just enjoy the small things and to prepare. And it, we had, we already, even before the COVID, even before the quarantine, we already had Netflix, Hulu, and Prime. So I said, listen, man, I'm just gonna start knocking out all of our watch lists, and that's exactly what we did. And I tried to catch up on some reading, but I didn't read much because we got the kid. I can't just sit there and read and hold them, but I can like half watch some stuff on streaming while dealing with the kid. So we're just knocking out all these watch lists. And
it's kind of like what we've been doing as well. And especially, I mean, we don't, like I said, I don't even know when the fall season is going to start. I haven't even heard anything if they've even started filming. I think they're starting to slowly start filming, get back to filming, either movies or TV series. So I know that's, so I mean, so I don't even know when the fall season is going to start. And so, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, we've been watching a lot of shows, and stuff that we haven't watched in that we kind of wanted to watch, and so
Like what? What? So, what? What's some of the movies, some of the series you might have binge watched that stand out? That
to be honest, one of the best things that we watched this past summer was Schitt's Creek.
yeah,
I don't know if you watched that at all.
we did.
And show was ridiculous. I mean, it was so well written. It was hilarious. Like I said, right now I know the new season hasn't dropped on Netflix yet, but the new season, or the new / last season, final season, I should say, I think it comes out. It's going to drop on Netflix in October. But that show was it wasn't an episode that we weren't just laughing out loud. That was probably one of the best things that we watched. My wife was watching Outlander, and she really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah. Outlander is about a girl, about the lady that kind of bounces back in time or something.
Yeah, she somehow jumps back and like she right at the end of World War II, something happens and she ends up back in like 1700 or mid 1700 Scotland. And you know, and it like I said, then she jumps back in the time, then she goes back to her time, and then she ends up coming back to, like, you know, still like 20 years later she goes back.
Okay.
That was a great show. It was actually more my wife watching, but I always have it in the background. I'll be sitting there on my iPad and what's going on, you know, just, you know, passively watching it. And Jack Ryan was a great watch both seasons of Jack Ryan.
Oh,
I don't know if you've watched that at all yet. Yeah, that's a great show. I think they cast really, really well as far as John Krasinski playing Jack Ryan. To me, he's kind of like, you know, a carryover from Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
very, very much, you know, right and wrong. You know, this is right, this is wrong. You know, type of character, and so that was great.
Yeah, I loved the first season. I thought the second season was a bit far-fetched. I think they tried to like add like a little extra borderline tiny little bit of superhero stuff to what Jack, or what they let Jack do, or what Jack was able to pull off. But the first season by far was astounding.
Yeah, because I was like, it was an intense episode, almost every single episode. And you're right there, you know, almost it's right at the end, right as soon as the climax, he's like, oh, damn, you know, and that was a great show. Right now, I'm in the middle of The Office. I've never seen it before, so you know, and everybody talks about The Office, you know, some way or fashion or whatever. I have a lot of people on Facebook that, you know, quote whatever Michael Scott or Dwight Schrute or whatever, you know, and yeah, that show stresses me out because of Michael. But,
there's a couple of episodes that so, you know, me and the wife always just fall asleep in front of Office or Seinfeld. Well, actually, real quick, do you have Hulu?
We do not, or hold on, do we? I know we have Disney Plus. I don't think we had the whole package, the crossover package.
Okay. Because I was going to say, so Schitt's Creek season 6 is on Hulu now.
Really?
Yeah, but I think it's coming to Netflix, because we watched season 1 through 5 on Netflix, and then we were like, oh, season 6, we got to wait for that. Oh my God. And then, but we also had Hulu, and then we saw season 6 advertised on Hulu right away. Now, of course, it's got ads, but yeah, that's how we were able to finish off Schitt's Creek, was through season 6 on Hulu. Yeah. So, but back to The Office. Yeah. So we'll either watch The Office on Netflix or Seinfeld on Hulu, you know, at night you know, that's what we usually fall asleep in front of. But there's like maybe 5 or 6 different episodes of The Office I just skip past. Can't deal with that one episode. I think it's that one episode. Well, have you seen the whole series yet so far?
I have not. I'm smack dab. What season? Am I season 5? I think I'm on season 5. So there are some seasons, there are some episodes. I'm like, oh my god! Like those, like the episodes I watched last night was where Michael had left, Pam had left to start the Michael Scott, paper company.
Okay.
And so Dunder Mifflin offers to buy them out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there like saying, "Don't say we're broke. Don't say we're broke." And he's in, and I'm like, "Oh my God, Michael! No, Michael! No, Michael!" It's like, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. And there was another one where, if you're already at Michael Scott Paper Company, then there was that episode where he had to break up with Holly, and they had that whole terrible drive to take her to Nashville or something.
Yeah.
I can't watch that episode. I always skip that. It's just awful. It's just so awful to watch. And then, but you remember when everybody knew that Angela was sleeping with Dwight behind Andy's back?
Yeah, that just happened like a few episodes ago.
Yeah. And so Michael's like, "But wait, you don't know?" And Jim's like physically has to like restrain him and pull him into this office and closes the blinds. It's like, shut up. And Michael's still like opening the blinds, like, "No, but seriously, you don't." And the lady's holding him back. Like, dude, he's awful.
Yeah.
Steve Carell is a genius because you hate that guy.
And I love Steve Carell. So
yes.
it kind of tells you how good of an actor he is. And, and my wife hates him,
yes.
And she's not really watching it. She's like, I don't really want to watch this. But she's kind of like watching Outlander. She's kind of like, it's just like she's passively, or something's happening. She's like, oh my God. She was like, so, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's the true talent to, actors like Steve Carell, where you despise them at such a level. And it just shows how creative and how open they are to that. And me and some colleagues have been watching a lot of wrestling, a lot of wrestling docs. And to kind of touch upon that same thing where, we all know that pro wrestling is scripted and it's, and it's predetermined and it's choreographed, but like the acting and the characters, I was watching something I was watching recently is a show called The Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
Or
a few episodes of that.
Phenomenal show. I must have 2 seasons, I think 8 or 9 episodes per season, and I must have finished it in a day. It was just so, provocative, so intriguing. I was well aware of a number of these wrestlers that had passed, and just seeing like, some additional inside information. But I pretty much calculated that 9 out of 10 of the guys that they documented throughout this whole series died because of that blurred line between reality and the character that they're playing. They pushed it so hard outside the ring because they cared so much for the business. They cared so much for the, for the art, for the craft, but just for the business, never admit that it's, and I'm not, I would never call it fake, but never admit that it's not a true sport. They would never pull back that curtain. They would never let go of that character. They pushed it every day. They lived this character. They lived this life, and they were. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so one of the episodes, like I said, I watched was the Von Erich episode.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so and the Von Erichs were gods,
royalty.
They were royalty, and I was there. I was still a kid growing up when which watched them fall like dominoes, with David dying and then Mike dying and then Carrie dying. And then, like I said, that tells you how much I know about the Von Erichs, is just because I grew up watching the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, so, and Chris, so, and only one is left is Kevin, and so, it's just so, weird, watching that. And I still kind of watch wrestling, not so much here and there. I'll go back to it, but just seeing what's going on and everything. And it's just, it's gotten a little bit too cartoony again. So, but but like I said, that's a great series of, on all of that, because a lot of those wrestlers I watched, growing up. I mean, the Benoit episode was haunting.
Yeah.
And but I grew up watching the likes of Bruiser Brody, who was awesome. Hey.
Yeah. And
Gino, I watched Gino Hernandez. I watched, because they were all, Bruiser Brody was in Dallas a lot. Gino Hernandez was. So, I mean, I grew up with these guys.
Yeah. And it's a shame. I mean, the Dino Bravo story was about, like mafia, the mafia in Montreal, no, Quebec, or both. But, it's like, okay, there's a huge mafia presence up in there in Canada. And somehow this pro wrestler, he was huge. Dino Bravo was maybe not on the Hulk Hogan level, but definitely on the Macho Man Randy Savage level. Huge pro wrestler level. And reduced to, at some point in his career, reduced to associating, if not working with, organized crime in Canada. And it's baffling to me. I get the drugs, and I get how someone might, slip up into like some grimy lifestyle because of drug addiction, but that wasn't Dino Bravo's issue. It was just he ended up somehow associated, if not enforcing. I don't know if they ever affirmed or confirmed that he was an enforcer for some sort of organized crime element in Canada, but somehow he got associated with them. I think he was related to him, actually. I think he had some relatives, and he got assassinated. Like, he got took out like guys in the Godfather movies got took out, and it's tragic. And it's like, wow. I mean, like, but I mean, that's different. Whereas Bruiser Brody's death was contributed to the fact that the world thought he was this psychopath, Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
And I know he was stabbed at some point in the 80s, but he was stabbed by another wrestler because the other wrestler was like, I'm not going to let him, destroy my career. And I was like, it's scripted. This is the circus. This is a movie. It's Broadway. Vince McMahon said it perfectly. Vince McMahon was mainly responsible for the whole curtain being pulled back because sports commissions wanted to license him like they do boxing, like MMA is now licensed, like martial arts tournaments were licensed. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to pay all that money, so it's really fake. You wouldn't license Broadway. But that's a perfect example to make it. It's Broadway. You're the bad guy, you're the good guy. Your brand's suffering because of the way you're being booked, the way you're being promoted. But you have to work, but everybody cycles around. Hulk Hogan was a heel. Hulk Hogan was a bad guy. Then he rose to be Hulkamania. He was a good guy for decades. For at least 10 years straight, he was a babyface. He was a good guy, and then then WCW decided to make him the ultimate heel. Well, he was able to make millions either way. But if you're a heel, you might lose some money. If you're a babyface, you're going to make more money, and then lose and gain and lose and gain. But it's an act. I mean, just like actors on TV, You got actors that just play bad guys all the time.
Yeah.
And so be it. I mean, but you're getting paid to play a character, and it's just unfortunate. But I mean, I guess that's just, some people get it, some people don't. And now that the curtain has been pulled back, I think it's just all about merchandise. You got heels and faces that are just making a killing off this merchandise and all, and now there's agents for that shit. And so I guess.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's all a game.
Yeah.
It's always like I said, you even watch if you've watched, like I said, there's that reality show with the divas. Now, I mean, now they're called something else. They're just basically they're just all called superstars. But I mean, but you see all the drama, and you don't really see so much. You don't really see so much what's going on behind you see a little bit what's going on behind the curtain, behind backstage. But like I said, it's show, and it is what it is. Still fun to watch. They do still put their bodies on the line.
Yeah.
So for that, pretty cool.
Well, if you are interested in any good wrestling, presently AEW on TNT, that's the brand that I'm addicted to right now. They're touching upon the WCW NWO days. They're kind of retapping into that old formula with today's Flash and Flair. A number of great talent on there right now.
A little bit of the Attitude Era.
A little bit of the Attitude. They're definitely more R-rated than I'd say WWE is right now, only because Vince has to look out for his wife, who's a senator, I believe, still in the Senate.
No, I'm not too sure. I think she's like a housing secretary or something like that. Something like that. I'm not too sure. I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, I think she didn't. I think she did make it into the Senate though at one point. Let's see. Linda McMahon. Okay, 25th Administrator of the Small Business Administration. Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, it's no, you're right. Chairwoman of America First Action, Small Business Administration. Yeah. Oh, she campaigned, but she lost. Okay. Well, anyway, she still has some sort of political office that Vince wants to look out for. She was campaigning, but she lost. But she is President President-elect Donald Trump announced her to be administrator of the Small Business Administration. So I guess she's in charge of all the SBA loans and all the all the stuff that we're not getting right now that we're supposed to be getting. So did she drop the ball on that? I don't know.
Who knows?
But yeah, so what yeah, I mean there's a lot of great, I mean Vice is pulling out a lot of great wrestling docs and a lot of behind the scenes. There's another so Dark Side of the Ring was a Vice doc. There's another one if you're interested called The Wrestlers. That's what it's called, The Wrestlers. And it's another doc series by Vice. And it shows you like some really obscure stuff from all over the planet. Japan, Mexico, Bolivia. Really some really interesting stuff. Some of the Japanese stuff that they show is just hysterical. And I'm kind of bugging the wife. Me and the wife have done some traveling, enough traveling, I think, as our relationship has grown. But I definitely, I keep telling her our next trip has to be Japan.
I don't think I can get my wife over to Japan. I think I get her to Europe, maybe. So she has a little thing of flying over like bodies of water. I was like, look, I've flown over the water like back and forth like 8 times in my life, and I've been fine. So
yeah, no, I mean, my wife's going to freak out whether we're flying to Florida or whether we're flying to Japan or Sweden or Italy. So it's just a matter of her having enough cocktails and headphones and a neck pillow to just sleep. But she's gonna freak out either way, whether it's 2 hours or 20 hours. So I'm really pushing Japan for our next international trip. But speaking of which, what would you say is your next? What's within your next agenda, your next set of goals for, say, the next 6 months to a year?
My goals, what I was to say was, to kind of expand a little bit more on my content that I put out there, and to create more business. That's what we're trying to do. That's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to create more business to where this side hustle, this will be my main hustle. Because I know, I could say I know of a little bit of some voice talent that, are thriving right now. I'm sure, I'm fairly certain that there's voice talent out there that's not. It's probably, it's always there's always going to be checks and balances and everything. And so if I can create business flow, and money flow during this pandemic, what could stop me?
Right.
I can keep going. I can keep growing. I can buy, better equipment. It's going to help me in the end. I can get some good coaching. That's just going to help me, and which is going to help me more than the equipment. And I've noticed that here in the last, probably here in the last few months, some of the coaching that I've gotten, has helped me a little bit. So to be able to go, hopefully maybe by the end of the year, like I said, there's no, and create more business. That's my goal. So more than anything else, it's just to create more business.
Hell yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, especially right now with the way things are, I definitely took advantage of this, and I know it's a terrible time, and I don't want to like paint myself as just someone taking advantage of a terrible thing, but I had a lot of things set in place. Like I said earlier, I wanted to work from home. I wanted to be able to produce from home, write and produce maybe. I miss set life. I love set life. I miss it. Acting and producing and shooting and things of that nature, on set, traveling. But I feel like, and we touched upon this earlier, I feel like I'm blessed. I feel like I did enough prep to where I was able to set up a system, where I'm able to work from home. And the second this happened, I said, I wasn't getting any paid work. I wasn't getting any gigs when the shutdown happened and when the quarantine happened. But the first thing in my mind was, let's try a second kickoff with this podcast and do it right this time. And me and some colleagues, started dabbling in this and that. And I feel like I'm starting to get some traction. I'm starting to get some viewership, and content is king, as they say. And so, like you said, it's a perfect opportunity to start delving into all those passion projects and all those different ideas that we had at one point that maybe we didn't have time to do, and now we got all the time. Not all the time in the world, but we got plenty of time now, maybe for the next maybe 6 more months of this, maybe a whole another year of this.
Probably.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, now's the time to really start kicking some shit into overdrive, because.
And I truly believe that regardless of the pandemic or not a pandemic, there is no right time. You can't say, we got to wait this and that and the other or whatever. When I decided to take this path into voiceover, it was kind of like, man, I don't know. It was like, I don't know. And I decided to do it. And, like I said, it's a learning curve because, I'm 20 years in the Air Force, and I did the same thing for, I was a cop for 20 years in the Air Force. I left when I retired, didn't know what to do. As far as, I was one of those one of those people that, like I said, was not prepared to retire. Even though I retired from the military, I was, like I said, I was the person just, that you see is like, well, I don't know what to do. Well, hey, guess what? That was me. I didn't know what to do. I was unprepared, and it wasn't until my wife basically, literally dragged me, literally / figuratively dragged me back to school, because I was driving her insane because I just didn't know what to do. And she's like, look, you like computers, take IT, GI Bill, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is make sure you pass your classes. And so I go to school, I graduate, and then a month later after I graduate, or a couple months later, I got a job offer, and I've been consistently working since, for 5 years. So, so I went from being a cop, totally flipped career fields, because I didn't know jack about IT except just a normal, hey, hit restart,
Right.
So now I'm blessed with a whole bunch of knowledge that, lets me help. One lets me, keeps me gainfully employed, especially during now. So, as you said that you're blessed, I'm blessed because there's a lot of people out there who are or aren't working, and that are struggling. And so, and so, I'm blessed to be where I'm at, and I'm blessed to actually being able to have that job and then do this at the same time. So, and when I decided to do this, it was like, man, there's just something about it. There's just kind of like this itch, and like, you said, a few years ago when I retired here in New Mexico, it's kind of like a little mini Hollywood. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not. So, Breaking Bad was filmed here, Lone Survivor was filmed here. I guess that the Magnificent Seven, the one with Denzel, was filmed here in the local area. Lone Ranger was filmed here. Netflix just bought the studio that was here, so they're going to be producing a lot of series here. So when I got out, a little stand-in job kind of came in for an extra, and I did it, and it was one, hell of a lot of fun. Had a great fun time that day, and I did another one, but it was, man, it's like I kind of like this acting thing, but at that particular time I still had kids to feed and whatnot, so I couldn't do that. And the voiceover kind of, it's like, I just kept on seeing things on Facebook about it.
Yep.
So I did my research, and it's not an easy, you can't just walk into a booth and just start recording away. Like I say, you've done some voice acting work, you've done acting work. It's not just stepping in front of a camera and just like action. You have to invoke an emotion on into something. Like we were talking about The Office a few minutes ago. I love Steve Carell. I think he's an amazing actor. So amazing actor that you make me want to hate you in your, you make me want to hate Steve Carell. That's how good of an actor he is.
Yeah.
So all of it takes time and coaching and persistence and consistency. You can't just like decide, I want to do voiceover. It's not really working for me, a month in. You know, it's just consistency. It's gonna make you successful. Not just in voiceover, but I think in anything.
Yeah. And you know, I've been able to, I think I'm lucky to where I'm able to pick up on people's skills that they didn't realize they had. And, you know, there's a couple of colleagues I work with, and out of the blue, I asked this guy who's, you know, his expertise is more into like finance and marketing and branding and music production to start off, music production. Then he started, you know, delving into the other things. And I said, dude, have you ever considered doing voiceovers? I need a bunch of voiceovers done for this project. Because I never really thought about it. And I was like, well, I know you're good at music production, so that means you have the software to pull it off. And all you got to do is read this script. I'll send you a couple of examples of other shows that are similar like ours. And he sent me some phenomenal voiceovers because I knew I just had a feeling he could do it. I know his personality. I know his work ethic. I know his maybe not passion for you and I's kind of arena, but he's got a general passion and a general love for arts and media in general. You know, music, advertising, marketing, you know, things of that nature. And I said, and I think you can knock this out. Now he didn't knock out as many as I wanted him to do under a certain deadline. I got maybe, you know, 7 out of the 10 scripts done from him that I wanted. But what he sent me was freaking phenomenal. And a lot of people were blown away. They thought it was a professional voiceover, like one of the professional voiceovers from, you know, legit versions of those shows. And I just told them, yeah, it is. You know, I kind of like beefed him up a little bit. Oh yeah, he is. And here's his name and here's his contact information. I don't know if he ever booked any other work outside of my work, but yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you can't just jump right into it. But at the same time, you're going to find that one guy who never knew he had that kind of talent, but you can kind of just tell from maybe other talents and maybe from a personality standpoint and just, you know, from a work ethic and a kind of a hustle kind of mentality in other arenas. Hey, why don't you try this out? Let me see how you do with this. And he killed it and he did great, you know? And you know, you never thought, you know, 5 years ago you'd be doing voiceovers, but
no.
You were but you found a way to get on set. You found love with set, and then but see what we don't realize, but I have kind of caught myself doing this, and I love when I do this. Is like I'm planning like 1,700 different things just from one moment, and I find like the gears are running at extra full throttle, and it's like if I can do this, then let me take this next step into this. And then this, and then this, and then what could, now, do I want to waste my time? What could turn into this? Do I want to stay just focused on the original, this, or do I want to branch out? Could that lead me back? Could that, you know, expand my horizons in the first 3 things and that sort of thing? And it's just like plotting and planning and that sort of thing, you know, because a buddy of mine who actually moved out to Albuquerque, you know, he started acting. And he got some acting gigs in Preacher that they shoot out there. And he got an acting gig in Independence Day Resurgence, the sequel, which they shot out there.
Oh,
and
yeah, I was a stand-in extra for that one.
Oh yeah, okay. So, do you know? Do you recognize the name Andrei Lapionik? Russian guy, maybe 35, 38 now, something like that, late 30s, tall. He's American.
No, I haven't. Like I said, I've only done like 2 like extra gigs.
Okay.
You know, it's just sometimes call me. Like I said, I just think I was between like it's funny how things when I did the first one, my contract job after I retired ended, and they called me like the next day. Say, hey, come and do this. Like, oh, okay. And then when I graduated from school, before I landed, you know, my first job after graduation, they called me. He said, oh, you know, I was like, come over or whatever. He was like, okay, just wear a suit. look like a business, someone
Right.
in business attire. And it's like, all right, and okay, cool, so
And
my
again,
son thought it was awesome.
right, right. And for those of us that have this, just have this perseverance trait, this persistence, this faith in ourselves, you know what I mean, where it's like, just keep plugging away, keep plugging away. There have been times, and I brought this up a number of times on this show before, there's been times where a bunch of gigs fell through and I'm like, Christ, what am I going to do for money this month? And then the next day, the second that thought popped in my head, I get an email or I get a text or I get a phone call. Hey, we want to book you on this. We want to book you on this. I'm like, oh my God, it's just because I just kept plugging away, kept being persistent on the goal. And it's kind of a high risk, high venture goal. It's not a stable career sometimes, most times. It's like, hey, hopefully the money for the budget comes through. Because if it doesn't, there is no production, there is no money. I mean, if you got a job in IT, that's much more stable than, say, acting and relying on a film production to get picked up. And then you've got your payday once it's picked up, sure, but it's like gigs fall through all the time. People just, the wife thinks that the live streaming, the corporate and industrial live streaming gigs that I have is way more stable, and it is, but still those gigs get canceled. I just lost a 5-day gig today, and but I mean, that's down the line, so there's plenty of time for me to find something to fill in for that. So it can be tricky sometimes, and it's right. but like I said, that persistence and that continual drive is where, even when something falls through, people know you. People are well aware of your work ethic and how hungry you are and how much you love it. Hey, I got something for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, touching upon that, what's your view of the new normal?
I don't even know if as of yet, because the new normal keeps on changing. The climate keeps on changing. Like I said, I personally, like I said, I've gotten, I don't know how it is over in your area.
Hello?
I say you're in the DC area?
Yep. DC area. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know what mandates over there. Here, right now in the state, we're mandated to wear masks everywhere. Go in restaurants, whatever. Well, I mean, even there, indoor dining is right now none. Only thing is patio seating, and it's at 50% capacity. So, like I said, I hate wearing masks. I'm, like I said, I don't want to get into political debate with other people, like whatever, I've done that plenty of times, but, I wear it because, okay, if I want to go anywhere, they're not going to let me in the store without it. So, I make sure I have a mask. I think, Clint Eastwood said it best, adapt, improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yep.
So, and I just think that's the good thing about us, is that we can adapt. We can adapt to any environment, that we come across, hot, cold, mask, no masks, so it's just a matter of how you deal with the new normal, because I think the new normal is just changing every single day, because it's not this, it's not the same here. Or do you all have to wear masks when you guys go places there?
Yeah. It's pretty much the same here. It's pretty strictly mandated. We can't get into restaurants. We can't. Me and the wife, we don't really go out much anyway, because especially with me, I'm very concerned about, you know, her and the kid, and she feels the same way. And so there's very few people, you know, that we have over. Her family is pretty strict. My family's pretty strict. So it's pretty much just family that comes over, like, you know, immediate family that'll come over here, or we'll go over there with no masks. Now we go to a restaurant, it's masks. You know, the restaurants around here are might be a little bit more laxed than they are there, but yeah, we're pretty much wearing masks everywhere. National Guard is hardcore on them all throughout. You know, a lot of the civil the civil issues throughout DC in June. It was just masks 24/7, face shields a lot of the times, but we really only might go to a restaurant every once in a while because we have to get out of this house, and
Right.
we'll wear a mask. Other than that, you know, we'll go to the grocery store, wear a mask. Car dealer, I had to go to my car dealership for some repairs, mask. It's very few and simple. It's very few and far between that we leave the house and go to establishments. But whenever I'm around people in public, yeah, it's mask all the time.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying as far as political goes, and everyone's going to have a different insight or a different belief or a different ideology about what's going on. But for me, regardless of what's going on, for me, it's better safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And wearing a mask doesn't bother me. Maybe it just physically doesn't bother me. And I get it. You know, sometimes, yes, it is itchy, or sometimes it's stifling, smelling my own funky breath right back into my face. But listen, at the end of the day, it's better safe than sorry. Wear it. You know, like you said, we had to wear all sorts of even heavier, more stifling shit when we were deployed. So at this point, it's like,
Right.
what's a mask? You know what I mean?
And I respect that, you know, so it's just, you know, I just know, like you said, I have my own thoughts on it, you know, and unless, you know, like I said, I see people with masks with the little filters on it, whatever, you know, and unless it's a charcoal filter, you know, that,
Right.
because you've worn gas masks as well, and they all have that charcoal filter in there, which basically purifies everything that comes in. You know, it doesn't do any good. You know, it's like, I understand what we're trying to do, but you know, it's just the way it is right now, and we do what we have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got to do what we got to do. It's better. And like I said, it's just, for me, it's just better safe than sorry. And it might be a little hot, might be a little stifling, but at the end of the day, it's better than a bulletproof vest or a helmet.
This is true. Those are hot and uncomfortable.
And heavy. And a mask isn't even heavy, man. So, but what do you have? What's one last point, one last bit of advice that you could put out there?
Well, remember, I mean, I don't know per se. Are you talking about as far as overall, or are you just?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be for, you know, media professionals, or it could just be overall. Yeah.
I mean, for as far as voiceover, to me, well, not to me, it's widely a thing that you would need. Is, you know, you need good coaching. You need good voice coaching. You know, make sure you have a good coach. I've used Bill DeWeese before. I've used just recently Brian Bremer, who is amazing, for my last session. You need a good quality, you know, you need good software and marketing. Marketing is probably one of the biggest things that I've had to learn in the last year, because if you don't know how to market yourself, which I did not. I didn't realize how uneducated I was on marketing, because I didn't know anything, and you just need to find the right marketing coach. I use Corey Disson, and he's just awesome. I can't say enough about him. When it's time for me to look at, when it's time for me to renew with him, my wife is like, stay with him. He's doing great things for you. He's helping you so much. And so, if you have those things and consistency, just keep on going. There are good days and there are bad days. Sometimes there's a lot more bad days than are good days. And I think those days that are bad and you're still consistently trying to do something every single day is where you're going to, puts you on a better path to succeed. You're not going to, if you just keep on I'll do something tomorrow. I'll do something, next week. Do something every day. Even if you're not posting every day on social media, because I try and get myself a couple of days of break as far as posting content on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But even on those days, I'm still trying to do something.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to create leads, add leads to my list, potential leads, so it helps me in the future. So, if you're not consistent, all the other ones don't matter.
Yeah, consistency, and that's a big thing. And within that, it's persistence, perseverance. Just but being consistent. And so many times I've seen fellow colleagues, buddies of mine, acquaintances, just constantly switching up what it is they want to do. They go from the education field to the medical field to the marketing field to the sales field and then back. And then I tell them, like, dude, you're amazing at this, at this one thing. And they're like, well, it's not getting anywhere. I'm like, because you're not staying consistent with it. Like you'll pump out a couple of things one year and then you don't do anything. And I know we all have bills to pay, but it's like the successful ones are the ones that are doing the full-time job. And then, as we call it, the side hustle, but that side hustle is going to turn to the main hustle.
Yeah.
Because you're consistent with it, and consistency and persistence and perseverance is where, you have to, you got to fail. And I bring this up a million times. You have to continually fail until, you find that right formula and that right path within what it is that you truly want in life. And I think you mentioned it before, you got to do what you love. You got to do what you love to do, or you're not going to really be consistent with it. And I think that's the ultimate key, is doing what you want to do. If you want to do it, then you're going to put extra 10% into everything you do because you really want it to be awesome.
Right. And that's part of it. And that's a big deal. That's a big part of it, because I remember when I started on this marketing journey that I started at the beginning of the year, and I was told, okay, well, if you need to make branded content, you need to, I don't care what it is, but start thinking about stuff to do. And so, I started posting a lot of, and I still do post a lot of military history, U.S. military history. Then I've changed it a little bit here and there, because nobody wants to read history. I mean, I'm a huge history buff, but but sometimes people want a little bit of a change up, a little bit of a curveball to kind of like, oh, okay. So, like on Wednesdays, I put like weapons, U.S. military weapons. Fridays is like my fun facts, just different little facts or whatever, and I have a couple of other ideas that I'm working on right now. But when he said, it's like, you need to post like every day you got to post. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, that's a lot of work. I don't know if I can do it, And I came up till I was posting like 2 to 3 times a day, and he was like, okay. He was like, start pulling back a little bit. Sometimes a little too much is too much. Sometimes too much. Sometimes you can post too much, and so it was like I had been in this mindset in my mind, just like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, and so I had to start teaching myself, like, hey, just you don't need to post 3 times a day. You can post 1 to 2 times a day, and even on those, and then on these a couple days of the week, don't post anything. Use that day to create possible leads. Work on this other part of the business. Besides just creating content.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, speaking of content, do you have any socials, any links, any plugs you want to put out there?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, it's David Hinojosa. I'm on Instagram, it's David Hinojosa Veteran VO. I have my own website. It's www.veteranvo.com. I have my commercial demos on there. Some of my own content that I put up, that I've produced myself, and so those are the three big. I'm starting to get a little bit more active on Twitter.
Yep.
Dr. Hino 07 on on Twitter. I don't go on Twitter that much, but those two main ones, Instagram and LinkedIn. You can find me consistently there. If anyone wants to get a hold of me, you can email directly from my website or find me on LinkedIn or Instagram, and maybe we can talk and work something out.
Awesome. Well, David, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing your experiences, sharing all your advice, the stories, and the history and all that, man. It's great having you on. I can't thank you enough.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. It was a great experience. It was actually, I didn't know what we were going to talk about for 2 hours, but man, we're an hour, a little over an hour and a half in. So yeah. I was like,
yeah, it was awesome, man.
It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, all your links are in the description below. So viewers, you can check them out. To my viewers, I certainly hope I've earned the privilege of your time and viewership. I know my guest has. And check us out next time.